This is Between Hook Sets. I'm Chase and Walter from In Through the Outdoors with my partner in slime, Kurt Underhill from the fishing crew.
What is up, buddy?
Well, I'll tell you, it feels really weird because it was a week ago we sat down to do this, getting ready to go to the Bassmaster Classic. And here we are 1 week away from that already. It blows my mind how quickly time flies.
It was pretty dang quick heading over there. And I mean, last week I was sitting right beside you doing the show in Brookings, and now we're back to normal life before it gets crazy in tournament season for us. But what an experience the Classic was.
Oh, my. Yeah, I don't even know where to begin. You know, the biggest surprise for me, Kane's Ballroom. As a classic country DJ and a classic country lover, I was enamored, fell in love. I was in awe. I was absolutely everything, and it was nuts. The expo was something else. The people, the atmosphere, it's there isn't anything like it when it comes to a fishing tournament, and the weigh-in. It's magic.
It's something else, and it was a massive experience for us and our guests tonight, seeing it from a whole different lens walking across the stage. And I can't wait to hear both of their experiences there and how they took it on. So I see Justin was questionable. He just hopped into the studio, so it's going to be pretty awesome to have both Will Davis Jr. and Justin Barnes on tonight, just off their fresh fishing the Classic, you know.
Yeah, right.
I mean, so we better bring both of them in, see how they're doing.
That. Will, how you doing? Justin, how you doing?
What's going on?
Well, it's great to have you guys. I apologize I didn't have a fancy graphic that had your names on it, but I don't know if Justin's going to join us right away or not. I didn't want to share the name. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to forego the fancy graphic and just go with us. But very quickly, before we get into things, I did do a little bit of something kind of sort of fancy because Dave from Elite Sonar hooked us up. So, David, happy birthday to you, my friend. Happy birthday. I was thinking about getting all of us to sing a little bit, and then I'm like, yeah, no, I don't think we'll sing because I can't sing. Can you guys sing?
Oh yeah, we need to sing for him. He'd definitely get all red faced. I guarantee you.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. Well, I practiced trying to sing Happy Birthday Southern, Happy Birthday to you, and I couldn't do it. It didn't work for me. So I'll just be the fast talking Northerner and let it go at that.
That sounds good.
Dave, I hope you had a great day today. Hope you have a great night tonight. Thanks for hooking us all up. So, I don't even know where to start. So, Kurt, I'll let you start because I'm still kind of in awe. My jaw, for the most part, is still hanging down, and there's nothing I can do about it.
You know, I'd start with Justin because I know, Justin, you're at work, and then we'll get to Will. But, give a little backstory on Justin Barnes, who you are, how you got to the Classic, and the fact that you're back at work, a normal day job.
So I'm from Ellaville, Georgia, a little one red light town in southwest Georgia. I qualified for the Classic through the Opens. I won the Bassmaster Open on Eufaula. I was my lineman for Georgia Power.
And then,
he's back again. You're a magician.
Audio. Justin, you're probably going to have to pop. Justin, we don't got you. We lost your audio.
He probably can't hear us either. Yeah. And I can't sign to.
I'm going to text him and tell him that we lost his audio. He's going to have to hop out.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. So we'll, while we're getting Justin back. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe we're going to get him back quick here.
Are you there?
Nope. By golly, we lost you. Yeah, you might have to go all the way out, Justin, and come back in. That's the fun part of all of this digital stuff. It's a little bit on the glitchy side. So, Will, I guess I've got a picture of you. I'm going to put that up here real quick as well. This is your championship day. I tried to do a graphic and it got rid of the fish, and I had to do some fancy stuff with the bass on top of the trophy. Not on that picture, but on another one. And this real quick there, as long as we're on to it, what an awesome opportunity to of course to know Justin Hamner, the Bassmaster Classic champion, but to get a picture with him, and it looks like you're laughing, having a good time there.
Yeah, he's a great dude, and he's put in his time, and he's he's very deserving of that trophy. He's a good family man, good Christian man, and yeah, good for him, man. I couldn't be more happier.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Justin, if you're back, we're just talking about Hamner time, and how awesome the win was, and getting Will's thoughts on the big win. What are your thoughts there? Yeah, nope, I don't think he can hear us at this point either. Let me try this once. All right,
Can you hear me
are
now?
you there?
Yep, we got you back, buddy.
Yep, there we go. Somehow you got muted in the green room. So good to have you back.
Yeah,
So-
I don't know how to work this thing.
Well, yeah, we don't either. We just kind of wing it from time to time. And I was just talking about Hamner time, and Justin Hamner winning the Bassmaster Classic. What are your thoughts there, real quick?
I don't know Justin Hamner, but from what I see, I don't think I like to see it happen to a guy like that. Dude said he had his own lawn care business like a year ago or something. So I can relate to that a lot because I do work for a living, and to see it happen to him, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Sean, good to see you on the show. Good luck to you in the NWT this year. We're going to talk walleye, I promise. We're going to have Adam Rasmussen on next week. I told Adam we were going to have number 2 on because anybody can get and everybody wants number 1. So that's next week, and I'm excited to talk about that because he's an old walleye guy. But back to Kurt's question for you, Justin. Give us a little background on you.
Okay, so from Ellaville, Georgia, little one red light town in southwest Georgia. I know you'd asked how I got to the Classic. I qualified through the Opens. I won the Bassmaster Open on Lake Eufaula and fished the whole division. Do line work for a living. Been doing it for about 7 years now. Got 2 kids and one on the way. I'm married. So we keep it pretty interesting around here.
Oh, I'll bet you do.
So
It's absolutely crazy. It's and to be able to do tournament fishing and do that with a family and little kids, you've got to have an amazing wife, no doubt.
Yeah, I do. She has her hands full, that's for sure. I couldn't do it without her.
With you or the kids?
But
Or all three?
Both.
I guarantee you.
So was this your first Classic, Justin? And what was that experience like for you being an Opens guy coming into the biggest stage in fishing?
Yeah, it was my first, and I can just tell you this: I hope it ain't my last because that was unreal, dude. Like, I'm still on a high. I don't know. It put a fire up under me. The next time I go fishing, I feel sorry for the first fish that bites my hook. Gonna be a bad day for him.
Well, that's what I don't think people like, especially up here. Like, people don't really know the Classic and the bass side of stuff from the country we're in. It's just starting to get some following and starting to follow along. I've been only been paying attention to the Bassmasters for about 5 years now, and I got stuck at home in a blizzard in 2019. Couldn't go to work, and it happened to be the weekend of the Classic, and I watched the whole thing. And I've not missed the Classic, and we just attended our first one. It is something special to see the work that they put you guys through, man. Like, we drove out to launch one day on Saturday to watch takeoff, and it was a 90-mile drive out there and a 90-mile drive back. And you guys had stuff going on all week that you had to be at. Like, that is just a rigorous schedule, but obviously worth it in the end to say you walked across the Classic stage. And that's what's really cool about it is you can be an Elite Series fisherman, you can be the biggest name in the industry, or you can be a guy that won a tournament on Lake Eufaula and walk across that stage, or the 17-year-old high school kid that made it. Like it's all levels. And I think that's what people don't realize about the Classic is you can qualify for that thing in many, many different ways to get there.
Yeah, you can. And one pretty cool note, Aaron Yavorsky, that high schooler you're talking about. So out of all them guys, he held the big bass of the whole week.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it is so amazing. There are some younger kids around the area where I live in eastern South Dakota who are they're all about trying to get to the Classic through some of the opens, and it's amazing how they set stuff up so that just your regular average high school student or college kid or even beginner in the bass tournaments can get to the Classic, and to have that rounded field, I think is just so cool. I think it's really neat.
Yeah, they give there's several different avenues to get there, but with that said, it ain't easy by no means.
You know what? It wasn't easy from the stands. I can tell you that right now. I mean, it was a ton of fun and it was wonderful, but it was a nail biter there a little bit. The bass track, they must have unplugged it because Hamner and Rasmussen were sitting in first and second and hadn't clocked in or put anything on bass track since like 11:30 that day. And like they pulled the plug, and I thought Rasmussen was going to pull it out in the very end. Like I'm sure that's probably it, but it turned out the way it did, and it was a great Classic. But interestingly enough, I think it was Target Walleye that had, or maybe Jay Coomer in the Bass Blaster. Why can't I spit that out right now? He had a little deal in there that it wasn't one in the sonar with the live sonar, that it had to go old school because of all the fish. I wanted to give everybody an idea of what live sonar looks like when you've got catfish and drum and you've got carp and you've got one largemouth bass hiding in there. You kind of have to do it old school. Did you have to do it old school?
Man, I caught every kind of fish in that lake. Still didn't figure it out.
Will, how about you? Did you rely on your live sonar, or did you have to go back to the old school jigging and do it the way they did before the live?
I done a little bit of both.
Okay. And did
But
you
I
catch
was-
a bunch of stuff too?
Not really. Well, I caught some white bass and one gar, but the way that I use it is I fish it old school. And like I don't change the way I fish. I just utilize it where I fish.
Okay. That makes a ton of sense. It really does. And we kind of put the cart before the horse, but we don't know, because Justin's at work, how long he can hang with us. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about you, Will?
Excuse me. I've had COVID for like 4 weeks, it feels like, and I cannot get it going. But I'm 31 years old. I'm from a little town called Sylacauga, here in Alabama. I went to Bethel University and came home and flipped burgers for a while, and used to work at St. Vincent Sleep Lab for about 5 years, and then I worked at I was a quail guide at Five Star Preserve in Kellington, Alabama, and I done that and fished the Federation, and that's how I made the Elite Series and my first Classic, and so yep, I made it through the Federation, and like Justin said, it's so hard to make it to this Classic. It don't matter which direction you try to make it through or come at, it's tough, and you got to really appreciate it. And once you make one, you'll do anything to make another one. Just about.
So
It is pretty amazing.
you get there, you make it, and Will, you're on the Elite Series, right? I mean, am I right? You fished the whole Elite Series. Is this your first year on the Elite Series, or have you been there a couple years?
This is my second year.
And so to do that, like, you pretty much, that's your job, right? I mean, you might have a side hustle or whatever, but you got to commit a ton of time to go do these things. And I mean, I think people I mean, I think it kind of got blown up this year on YouTube, but I don't want to go negative, but it's not all the glitz and glamour that one would think once you get to the Elite Series. They're not like writing you a paycheck to be there. You have to earn it and you have to work for it. You got to work for your sponsors and do all these things. What is it like to be very early on in your career in the Elite Series? And like, what would you give people? Like, we had these young kids at what they want to go do. What would you give them guys little like tidbits of information to do to get to this level?
So it all starts, I didn't come from a lot of money. No, we wasn't poor, but we didn't come from a lot of money. And, my parents financially helped me with a boat when I was growing up. And my dad owns Davis Bait Company and got a lot of lures for free. But I was very good with money. I didn't spend it. I'm a tightwad, as my wife says. I don't, and I think that really helped me chase my dream better, not, having that money through winning tournaments around the house and stuff like that. So, but it's not easy once you do make it. The hardest part about this whole job is there's two things, and that's the driving and that's being away from your family. And being away from your family being number one. That's the hardest deal about it, especially when you don't catch them. Everything always goes good when you catch them, but when you don't, that's when it really slaps you.
I think it's interesting. You said job, because I guarantee that most of the fans out there are thinking that it's a hobby, it's playtime, it's all in fun. They're making a ton of money and they're getting free rods and reels and free boats and that's not the case. You guys make money, but you spend a lot of money. And then even when it comes down to tournament time, I heard one guy say, "Well, I made $58,000 last year, but I really, when all was said and done, took home 6."
That's right.
So it seems on the that outward appearance, watching you guys on stage and watching all the glitz and the glamour, it is very glamorous, but then people don't see the staging in the back. When Jace Peterson and I from Northland Tackle were standing out back in the staging area, when you guys come up with the boats and you're outside waiting to go inside, there's a whole lot of sitting time. There's a lot of kids out there that are shining up the boats. You've got people, media guys like me, who are taking pictures, asking questions. So you guys are it's got to be a mental drain from the minute you get up to driving 90 miles to fish, then to fish all day, then drive 90 miles to weigh in, sit there and wait to weigh in and go through that whole thing. Must be tough.
Yeah, Justin can answer that one. I'm right there with him. It was brutal.
Yeah, it's tough, man. But I'll tell you, the big deal with that classic, you got so much adrenaline going whenever you're at that weigh-in. Will told me before I went through there the first day, he's like, "Hey, did you catch them?" And I didn't think, honestly, I did not think I had 15 pounds. I thought I had 13ish. I was like, "No, not really." He said, "Well, it don't matter. You fixing to see why when you roll through them curtains." And he wasn't lying.
Yeah,
I think it's awesome.
I mean, sitting up in the stands and watching come out, it was just one of the coolest feelings. And I, like I said, I run tournaments in South Dakota, and I love being on the stage. And I'm not the biggest fisherman. I'm actually a terrible fisherman. That's why I run fishing tournaments. And so it was so cool to see that. I can't imagine riding in from the boat and looking up, and you probably didn't even realize where anybody was just because it was so much, but that had to be the most surreal experience of your fishing career and makes you want to get back there, like you said, in the worst way.
Yeah, if you could take that and bottle it up, that feeling, you could retire. I mean, you could sell that and be good for life.
I saw that and tried to get in. I tried to get in one of the pickups. I'm like, can I get in a pickup? Well, what's it going to hurt? And insurance reasons, this, that, and the other thing. They said, nope, it's just not going to happen. I'm like, yeah, but I'll get some really cool pictures from a different perspective. Yeah, nope, not happening. We had a guy jump in a boat a few years ago from the crowd, and that didn't go well for that guy. So I thought maybe I'd get my chance to spin around that arena. and take some pictures and kind of experience it a little bit, but I didn't get to do it. And that's fine. But it would have been, something surreal. It just would have been amazing. Real quick before I forget, because Dave hooked us up from Elite Sonar. You guys are both Elite Sonar Pro staff, and you work with Dave. So talk about them a little bit, please.
Go ahead, Justin.
So I had I'm not going to name the company, but I had an appointment to get my boat rigged some years ago, 2 years ago, I think it was. And I was wanting to find somewhere locally, and David, I had caught wind from his brother-in-law, I think it was, that he was wanting to start a rigging company. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to give him a shot. I hear that they're really good people and everything, so I take my boat to him, and he blows it out of the park. I ended up selling that boat, and then he rigs my new boat. But long story short, he is one of my best friends now. Phenomenal people, and they are top-notch riggers, to say the least.
I will tell you this, and I hope David doesn't get upset with me by saying this, but when I talked to him yesterday, I mean, he reached out. We ran into you, Justin, and him on the street. Our whole goal after we had Brock Bielik on, and Dave was nice enough to jump on randomly. He wasn't even scheduled to be on the show, but he happened to hop on with Brock Bielik, and we got to know him, and I wanted to make sure we saw him down there. It was just the most, chance thing. You guys were walking into a restaurant, and we were walking to one on Sunday night, and we crossed paths. And he sent me a text yesterday to say, hey, pretty cool. If you ever have a chance to get these two guys on, please do it. And I said, man, we're looking for somebody. That'd be great. And he told me something, and I truly know he meant it. He said, Justin Barnes saved my life. I'm not going to get into his story because I want to get him on to tell his story. From what I got in the half-hour conversation I had with him is truly something special. But from the moment I talked to him on the phone yesterday, it felt like we were best friends for 100 years. And he told me that you saved his life. That is a pretty impressive thing coming from a guy that like that, because I can tell he's like, I open my house to anybody that wants to stay. And he's just a great down-to-earth guy. But that's pretty, hang your hat on that because he gives you all the credit.
Yeah, and I don't take the credit for it. David is an awesome dude. It's God's timing, man. He put me there for a reason, and now Starla, David, Clay, the whole Elite Sonar crew. They're some of my best friends now. I appreciate them very much.
So, what do they do? I don't want to get into his secrets, but what makes him good at what he does? What is he doing that's, is he putting, sea clear power, or is he just doing his own thing in them boats to rig it? He told me, he's like, I'm on the dock and I'm, he goes, I got a dock pass and I got out there for a little bit. I made sure Will and Justin were good, but I also asked everybody else if they were good. Just to go through that, he goes, they're not even my customers. I want to make sure their stuff works.
His number one thing to me is customer service. I don't care if it's 3:00 in the morning and I'm on the lake fishing dock lights. If I have a problem and I pick the phone up and call him, he's going to get out of that bed and come help me if he can. That's the main thing. But other than that, he takes pride in his work, and it's going to be right when it leaves his shop. And if there's anything that ain't right, he's going to make it right.
And I can't remember which one of you two had boat problems on the water on Saturday, and he came out there to help you.
Yeah, that was me. He goes all the way in Oklahoma, and kudos to Powerhouse Lithium, RJ Cots. He let David borrow his boat. But yeah, I lost power for like an hour. I had a short somewhere, but it all of a sudden it started back working. But David basically followed me around the rest of the day just in case.
That's
just
awesome.
Little things like that.
Well, he said he followed you around the next day just to make sure. It wasn't like you're back up and running. Okay, I'll see you later. He didn't get to go to the expo because he was following you around to make sure you were running.
That's right.
So that's incredible customer service, going above and beyond to make sure his guys, and like you said, it doesn't matter who it is. He wants to make sure their stuff is right.
Yeah,
Well,
I
that's
put him
friendship
through a
too.
lot of pain that second day. They didn't get to see me catch but one fish, and he pulled up on the tail end of it. As soon as he decided, he's like, "All right," he's like, "We'll see you later, buddy." And they go to leave. He don't get out of sight good, and I just go to catching them every cast almost. Had like 20 minutes to go.
So that's how it goes every time when you don't have an audience. Yeah, that's pretty special. You know, when you can have when you have a guy like that and a group like that you know, not only are you a customer, but you're a good close friend. And I'm kind of curious, where'd you eat that night?
Which one?
That night we ran into you guys. Had you
Monday
just
night.
come from, like, was it the Chow House?
Yes, that
Yeah.
was it.
Okay. All right. I don't even remember where we ate. We ended up eating, and Matt
Tavern.
Robertson was there. Where was it?
The tavern.
Tavern. That's it. Yeah, that was a pretty nice place too.
But
That Tulsa's a pretty cool place.
so you guys, did you guys know each other before David Elite, or is this kind of you guys met each other through David at Elite?
Yeah.
First time
Will. Go ahead, Will.
First time I've known of Justin, but I've never met him personally. Not that I can recall, until the classic. So
Okay, so you guys are both just work with Elite Sonar, sponsored by them. Have them rig your boats, and then you guys just met at the classic. So you really don't know each other either, other than classic friends now and have a common friend. But that's super cool. So Justin, what's next for you? Like, are you going to keep fishing opens, or are you just fishing local opens, or what's ahead for Justin Barnes?
So this year, I went to Okeechobee. My motor fell off. I guess y'all heard about that. And I didn't get to go to Santee Cooper because David tried to get me to take his boat, but we had so much stuff going on and trying to get my new one rigged. My worry was the classic. I really wasn't worried about that open, but I'm going to fish the open on Hartwell in October just for the experience. If I do end up happening to win it, I won't be able to fish the classic though because I missed the one on Santee. But I got some local tournaments coming up that I'm gonna fish, some ABA stuff. I'm gonna fish the Tackle Warehouse Invitational in May on Lake Eufaula. So a couple more big tournaments this year that I'm excited about. But next year I won't be able to fish all 9, but I'm gonna try to fish the Southern Division.
Fantastic. Will, how about you?
I'm going to fish 2 opens this year. I hope so. I'm in the Logan Martin one, and I'm on the waiting list at at Hartwell. And with that being said, I've got 7 more leaps. I'm leaving 2 weeks to head, or next week, to head down to the Harris Chain and then go to St. John's.
Well, I know you're going to be busy because I picked you in bucket E there, and usually my bucket E is a pick to win it. So, sorry, didn't mean to put the pressure on you.
That's all right. That's all right.
So, tell me about fantasy fishing. Do a lot of people talk to you about it if they pick you in the bucket and you don't have that great a day? Do you get the "you wrecked my fantasy team" thing, or
absolutely.
or are you all right with it?
Oh, I'm all good with it. It's all just for fun and games, but you have some guys, man, you ruined my deal, and I just say, well, you shouldn't have picked me, I guess, it don't bother me either way, but it's a good thing for the fans to play,
Well,
I never played till
people.
this year. I never played till this year, and I'm terrible at it. Like, Jason's done it for a couple of years, and he's like, if you don't score like 1,200 points a week, you might as well not play. The first week I got like 600. And I'm like, thanks for setting me up for this. I don't know anybody. I'm just picking off of what I know. And I'm like, all right. And then I kind of get a guy here and there, but he has a theory that if he talks to somebody, they do good at the tournament. So I'm going to put you in my bucket E because you talk to him. So that must be a good omen. If he talks to you, you're going to do good. So
well, he can call me every week now.
I don't know if I'm that good of luck, but I just happened to talk to Brandon Card, and really when it came right down to all of my research in the fantasy fishing, I'm like I never even gave Card a thought, and he ended up fishing really well.
Yes, he
And I
did.
don't know if he wants me to call him String Bean anymore or not, but when I walked up to him on media day, he was sitting in the boat, and I'm like, "Holy cats, you are String Bean." He's like, "What'd you call me?" I said String Bean, and Raging Cajun. So that must be a friend of yours, or at least a follower.
No, sir. No, he's a friend and a follower, and one of my sponsors. Straight Up Mounts. That's his company. He makes the best graph mounts that you can put on a bass boat or any boat for your graphs. We spent a lot of money on that stuff, and to have it secure, that's it. Y'all guys know how much that stuff costs, so they're definitely worth having.
so
And it's
getting
not
into
cheap to
that,
mount that stuff either.
getting
Sir?
into that. Go ahead, Brian.
I was just going to say it's not cheap to mount all that stuff either. You spend big bucks to have the electronics, but then you got to spend good money to keep it secure.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you
So-
want good riggers like Elite Sonar to do it. The best
Right.
of the best,
Right.
for sure.
So getting into that, with that being brought up, like you're traveling the Elite Series, you don't do it without your sponsors. Obviously, your family first, your sponsors, and go into what your sponsors, like who your sponsors are, so people know, and talk about what you do. Like I run tournaments, and I tell all my sponsors I deal with, I feel like an extension of your company. I'm a salesman for you, because if I'm not moving your product, you don't want to do anything with me next year. So that's how I feel about it. But go into what you guys feel about. Talk about your sponsors and what you feel about them.
The the best way to put this is believe in that product, and without your sponsors, there's no way that you could do this for a living. I don't care how good a fisherman you are. There's no way that you could do it without great sponsors. There's no way. You're gonna have a couple good years. I mean, yeah, if if you come from a lot of money, sure, but the average person is a worker just like me and Justin. And, with that being said, we have to work our tail off when we catch them and when we don't catch them for our sponsors, because we believe in their products. And, with that being said, yeah, sponsors are everything in this sport.
So I don't want to get down a rabbit hole here, but you see, what do you feel like the sponsorship industry is nowadays with the influencers and stuff like that? Because I try to explain to these younger guys or newer guys into it that want all these sponsors, and they get 10% off, and they basically tattoo a name across their forehead. Like, I feel like it ultimately hurts the industry, because these sponsors are like, oh, we'll just give this out, and the guys that are actually out there doing the work and putting in the time aren't getting the light that they should, I feel. So do you guys kind of see that or not? Or what's your thoughts on a discount sponsorship?
My thoughts are, and this, you've heard this time and time, but it's true. Um, it's like a big pie and all these pieces, and you've got so many hands in that pie now that you have to make yourself different. And there's so many people wanting that sponsorship that's not at the high level. So it does make it a lot more difficult, to get some sponsors because of that. But it's definitely a different age and time than it was when my dad started in the 80s. The way that social media has changed this sport basically. And yeah, that's about all I have on that.
Justin, coming up, I mean, I don't want to play down that you're not an Elite Series, but coming up, what do you feel like? You're working your way up, and like, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Will. I'm definitely not on Elite Series, but I think you got tiers. Like Elite Series guys get more than Opens guys do theoretically. Um, I've got some good sponsors, and I really appreciate what they do. And I could not do it without them. I mean, There just ain't no way around it. Stuff's too expensive.
It is getting really expensive, and no matter what, baits are crazy expensive. I heard some of the guys talking in the media area there that some of these swim baits, some of this stuff is at 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 bucks.
Nah, you better talk about 400 or 500, 600 bucks for one bait.
For
That's
one
the ones that
bait?
Justin has.
Are you kidding? So is that a secret $400 or $500 bait, or can you tell us what it is that you're spending $400 on?
It's
I
just
guess.
these glide fanatics. You know, I don't like throwing a glide bait, so I don't own, you know, them expensive ones. I got some 6 cents glides that I throw, but like the Hinkle shad and stuff, they're so hard, they're so sought after. Whenever they do have some, you know, people are paying $700-800 for them, $1,200.
And they're what, 9 inches, 12 inches? They're
10,
huge.
12, 14, yeah, they're big.
But they
And
can
again, I
set.
guess when you're talking a big largemouth bass, you know, you could stick a fist in a largemouth bass and not even touch its mouth at all, right?
That's right. I think the deal with them high dollar glide baits is just no different than us, you know, driving just say an old school car, and you got these people that own all Porsches. You know, there's like their own cult, and that's how them big glide bait or swim bait people are, and they'll pay for it. You know.
That is amazing, especially when you can win Bassmaster Classic on a Smeltinator.
I seen a video today of Matt Robertson. He threw a $1,200 or $1,400 glide bait off. Went back 2 weeks later with a cast net and found it.
Yeah,
No
I saw that video too.
I did not see that.
He marked the spot and went back and found it. Yeah, I watched that same video. But so what is, Justin, what's your go-to technique? Like when you pulled up to, you know, Grand Lake of the Old Cherokee, how did you start with that lake? Because I'm assuming you've never been there before. And
No, I haven't. I like to consider myself an offshore fisherman. I love to be off of the bank. Now, don't get me wrong. I like to catch them shallow, but I feel like offshore is my strength. I love to fish brush piles and stuff. And the first 30 minutes of the first day of practice, I caught one that was almost 5 pounds and like a 3 3/4 off of a brush pile. And you would have thought that'd have been the clue that I needed. And for some reason, I was hard headed and tried to make a bunch of stuff work, and it didn't. And I don't know. I just wish I run out of brush piles during the tournament is what really happened to me. Productive ones. I wish I'd have found more in practice, but I started running rocky banks and points and could get bit, catch several fish, but there just wasn't no quality. It seemed like if you found a brush pile that had bass in it, you know, you was gonna catch 3+ pounders, and I just didn't have enough of them.
So what did you start with going offshore? What was your go-to bait? Like if you're going to a lake, obviously do homework and and different things, but like you're tying your lines up. What are you putting on before you leave your house to get there?
Spinner bait, jig, shaky head, Texas rig, you know, stuff that you can get through brush. But every fish I caught in that tournament was on a spinner bait that I weighed in.
Any particular color? White?
Anything shad, white, and a little bit of chartreuse, maybe.
Okay.
Will, same questions for you. How did you start? What did you do?
I went the first day and pulled into a cove, and about within the first hour, I caught a good one, 4-pounder and 3-pounder, and a 2-pounder on this little deal. And I go to the next pocket, run the same contour lines, and catch another good one. And I go to the next pocket and run the same deal. And because I heard it was a great pattern lake, and it really didn't pattern that well during the tournament. But right out the gate, I thought, oh yeah, this is going to be it. This is my style. And needless to say, after the first morning of the tournament, at 10 o'clock, I was like, this ain't good. I ain't had no fish in the box. And I went to a pocket where I got bit on one side in practice and started on the left side at the mouth of the lake or the river, and then went all the way in the pocket. And by halfway back, I found them and caught like 16, whatever I had on that one stretch in about 100 yards. And them fish were moving left and right. I wanted to catch them cranking. I ended up catching them all on jerk bait and Davis wood jig behind docks up under boardwalks. And, the second day I went in that area and I caught one spotted bass in there. And they were just moving so much that it was unreal. And, it was definitely one of them tournaments where, when it's your time to win, it's like me at late last year. When it's your time to win, there's nothing that can stop it.
So the spotted bass are a smaller bass by nature, right? Because I've heard it said if you're catching spotted bass, you're not going to win the classic.
That's
true?
right. Yeah,
Okay.
well, they have big spots in there, though. I mean, I weighed in two that was right at 3 pounds. But you say that, I've been 45 pounds 3 days. That definitely would not got it done. But you definitely could have a good show in there on spotted bass if you figure them out.
They also told Gus he couldn't win last year on smallies, and he showed him how to do it.
He did, didn't he? He did. Gus is a good dude. He's like Justin. They're good dudes.
So
there's a lot of good dudes on the Bassmaster Elites. I'm sure the Opens. I'm generally at elite tournaments, and there are just some really awesome people. That's the one thing about the bass world that I've known, coming from. When I say I come from the walleye world, I'm from South Dakota, so we fish walleye, but the bass thing's catching on. But guys fishing bass tournaments, even if it's a local open or local tournament, or even as big as the Bassmaster Classic, you guys are very you're very giving. You're not super secretive. You're out there to help, and I think it's amazing. So thanks for being kind and helping us grow.
We do got a question from Raging Cajun for both of you guys. How do you prepare for your next tournament?
Most time, well, all the time, unless it's a local derby at Eufaula or late, where you're like, well, I'm gonna fish Saturday in this Wildcat, and you kind of run off history, But fishing like the Opens or any type of big tournament, you're going to know your schedule, and you're going to put in your time on the internet, which is public knowledge, and dig into that and study the lake. Watch every YouTube video you ever known to man that's on that lake, and look at your maps on your Humminbird, which that's what I run. Their VX maps is one of the best mapping that I've ever seen. And it helps me on all these lakes look at, in depth of what each pocket looks like, the river swings and all that stuff. So you definitely got to do a lot of research before you make the first cast, I think, to be successful. What do you think, Justin?
I agree with you, dude. I mean, pretty much hit the nail on the head. I don't like, a lot of anglers that kind of have a preconceived notion of how they want to catch them before they get to a place. And I kind of did on Grand, and it obviously would have been the right move, but I didn't want to get stuck on that deal and it not pan out. But and for that lake, I mean, I did a bunch of map study. Then I got to run Humminbird 2 VX map. They got a very good mapping system out that gives away a lot of juice, but
it does.
So, do you guys look at like old Google Maps, like go back topographical maps before you get there? A lot of my walleye guys are to look back at, because we live on Lake Oahe. I don't know if you made it to Lake Oahe last year or a couple years ago, Will, but I mean, it's a giant reservoir that fluctuates. A lot of years it's up way high, but we're probably 15, 20 feet down from what it was in 2012, 2013. And so you got all this old structure, and the lake's 200 foot deep. So you got all this different structure out there. Are you looking at looking at the lake levels and looking at past years and seeing what it looked like back then, or do you guys not get that deep into it?
I think you got to have like a special. I don't know how to go back and go look at 5 years prior, like say a drought season, or because all I look at is just Google Earth or Bing's or whatever it's called maps. That's about all I look at.
Yeah, I can't remember if you have to have. I'm going to look on my desktop. Google Earth Pro. If you have Google Earth Pro, you can go back. I think I've gone back as far as 1984. So if you have the right Google Earth, you can get the different layers, and it will reveal stuff. There's a little slough that we caught perch in here a couple of years ago, and after the fact, I found the Google Earth Pro, and there's a little bit of a hump in that slough, and I wish I'd have known that was there. But it's just kind of neat, the stuff that the shoreline gives away a lot of secrets, so it's pretty cool.
So when they, being from the north and the Elite Series we only heard about them a couple years ago, basically when they came up here. And a lot of guys have a misnotion. Like I've had this conversation with a lot of guys at the boat ramp. They're like, yeah, the Elite guys were here. They were cool, but some of them were dicks because they wouldn't talk to us at the boat ramp. And I'm like, well, what'd you talk about? Well, I told them where to go fish. I'm like, it's in their rules. They can't take that information from you. Everyone I've ever met has been a great down-to-earth dude. And so I kind of wanted to get that out there. And Will, I don't know on the opens, but Will, you guys are stuck to a strict guideline on what you can and can't do, right?
Absolutely, yeah. You gotta stop them dead in their tracks. When they say something that's pointing towards where to catch fish or baits or anything like that. You gotta. You can't get no info. I think the opens are a little bit more lenient on that. I think was it a month before?
30 days.
30 days, and then as soon as the schedule comes out for next year's elites, that's when that goes in effect. So it's like, we could be fishing in 2025, and they say we're gonna fish. You file. I couldn't call him, and a year out, and be like, hey, I what's the deal? Because it gets you in trouble.
Maybe that's a good thing.
So we got another question come in. Jack's Tackle wants to know, what's your go-to rod and reel?
Go ahead, Justin.
So I'm a St. Croix guy. St. Croix, they got the company 7 reels. It's kind of a 2-in-1 deal there, but if I had to pick one, I don't know. That'd be a hard choice. It'd be, I don't know. I love their workhorse rod. It's a 7.2, medium heavy. I love to throw a spinnerbait on it. And I'm a big crankbait guy, deep cranking, 710, 711, cranking rods with a 5-gear ratio reel. I love catching fish on a crankbait.
Will, how about you?
Sorry, my little girl just got out of the bath. My favorite here lately, I've been throwing a jerkbait a real lot and jig, but that jerkbait, I caught him at Fort big time on it, and I caught him here at the last one on it. That's a 610 MMA rod. It's a new rod that come out. It's perfect for a jerkbait the way I like to fish it. I can fish it fast, fish it slow. It don't wear you out. It's real light. And then Cast King, they've got a new reel called the MG12. It's a bad dude. It's so light, and man, you can throw straight into a hurricane with that thing. It won't backlash. So, yeah, that combination, that's my favorite rod and reel.
Yeah, I picked up that 7 spinning reel, that 6-ball bearing one. That reel is the real deal, man. Like I picked that thing up, and then they're like, here's a 10-ball bearing, and I'm like, this is nice, but you mismarketed. That 6-ball bearing's twice the reel this thing is. Like that 6, and they told me that retails for like $129. I'm like, yeah, that is a great rod or reel they hit something with that one.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got they got a great line of reels, and from spinning to bait casting to all kinds of stuff.
So we had a couple more northern questions here. A guy, Chad Johnson, asked, curious, is a classic or bass tournaments release tournaments or kill tournaments? They're all release tournaments. You guys have to release them all I mean, that's part of the bass history, is to put the fish back in the lake. Ray Scott instilled that years and years and years ago, and it was a great method of conservation. So I can answer that one. We have another one. Justin Hedinger, are all catch and release or catch, weigh, and immediately release? You guys bring them to the scales, and that was something. You were 90 miles away. Go through how you kept your fish alive, because when you got there, them fish would look like they just been caught. Like, what do you guys do for fish care to keep them fish not only alive on the water all day, but you took a 90-mile boat ride or 90-mile car ride with those things, and they look like they were just caught.
Right. You know, I run a nitro, and they got great live wells in them. They got oxygenators in them, and also use there's a company here in Alabama. It's called Fish Life Fish Care Products. They're just some of the greatest stuff I've ever poured in a live well, man. They'll about bust your lid open. And so when we got back to the weigh-in, or to the check-in, once you take your boat out, you go up there to the check-in, and they, make sure, all the fish are, you only got 5 in the boat, or all the fish measured. There, they had to be 14 inches. And, one day it was kind of hot, so we put like a quarter bag of ice in each live well. We separated them, give them more room. Put 3 on one side and 2 on the other. So and make sure that, the live wells were closed off at the valve where they wouldn't leak no water. And man, I didn't have no issue at all. Did you, Justin?
No, and I'm gonna knock on wood, but I've only had one bass in my tournament fishing history that I could not keep alive. And I run the same stuff Will does, Fish Life Fish Care. He makes a really good product. He's got some stuff in there called first aid. If you catch one deep and it's bleeding, you squirt it on the fish and it'll basically cauterize it. He's got the first aid stuff you put in the live well that replenishes the fish.
He ain't joking. He ain't joking about that first aid, man. That's the real deal. They call it
Really?
liquid gold around here.
Yeah. I keep 3 or 4 bottles in my boat at all times.
Absolutely.
You got fizz needles, fin clips. I catch a bunch of bass on Eufaula in particular that's 20 plus feet deep. And just in the open, for instance, every bass I weighed in that tournament, I fizzed them, right after I caught them and put them in the live well, so they wasn't floating upside down all day.
So you did you guys change water out, or was that still lake water that you were keeping temperature on? They didn't change any water to transport you, and then they bring them back, and then they take them after you weigh them in. But I mean, like I said, you guys weighed in a couple hours after you got off the lake, and like I said, them fish were just as lively as they came out of that lake. So I mean, incredible job keeping the fish alive for all the anglers. And it was just awesome to see, like, they've got it down to a science on how to keep your fish alive, and they've taught you guys how to do it and handle these fish. Do you guys, I've seen guys cut pool noodles and put them on the top of your live wells. Is that stuff you guys do? Keep it from sloshing? I mean, you guys do a lot more than just drop them in a live well.
I use them up north because it gets a little bumpy up there. But that's the only time I ever use it. Just keeps them from being in, stress, hitting their head and stuff like that on the live well lid.
When you see how far the live wells are coming, Vexus has their live well that pressurizes. I looked at that new. I'm just completely drew a blank of that boat company, the brand new.
The Icon? Was it the Icon?
They've got chillers and injects G juice, and Camus has cameras in their live wells. I would have never thought they'd do this much technology behind live wells, but the boat companies have come a long ways for you bass guys to keep them fish alive.
Right. And there's also a new thing called fish lung. It's oxygen. He's got stones that goes in your live wells, and it puts off a lot of nano bubbles, and that's why it's called fish lung. It's a great it's a great investment as well. So
I met a guy at the expo that's literally goes, I've been in the business 30 years making oxygen pumps for humans, and they box one down into a waterproof box that you can take and put in your boat. It puts 90% pure medical grade oxygen into your water. And I said, the best tip I got for you for my northern guys is if you sell that with the mask to put over your face. So in the mornings when they're hungover, they can get a little oxygen themselves or they keep their fish alive. You'd be a millionaire.
I needed to spend more time with you walking around the expo. I got the conversation with the virtual colonoscopy guy. I'm like, I missed out on the oxygen thing, but it was an amazing 3 days of walking around. I was so tired and shot. I can't imagine how tired you guys were and how hard you work. You know, I think a lot of us just think you guys are out there playing, but you're working damn hard because you're casting. I'm out in the yard. We've got snow now, so I'm not fiddling around, but I'm out trying to hit a 5-gallon pail with my bait caster. I'm trying to get better at it. So I'm 4 casts a minute. And by the time I get to 175 to 200 casts, I'm wiped. I am tired. And you guys have to, how many thousands of casts in a tournament?
I thought of that, and
Don't want to count.
Yeah,
I wish I have $1 for every cast I made last week.
Absolutely.
I could try to fish all 9 opens.
I hear you.
So we're getting to that hour mark, guys. We appreciate you getting on. We'll follow along with you guys and we'll hopefully get you back on. But before we go, I've got a nephew that's just diehard in this. We had a snow day. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but we had a snow day on Monday up here. And my sister-in-law texted me and my wife a picture of him like happy at home watching the classic. These kids are, our younger generation up here is just wanting to get into this. What's some tips for the younger generation or even, anybody wanting to get to this level? It's not only you work your butt off fishing, but you got to have an era about you that has hard work, respect. There's a lot more that goes into it than just going out fishing.
You gotta have the drive and the passion for the sport. That's the number one key. If you have them two, then there's nothing that can stop you. I never thought I would be where I'm at today. I was just an old country boy that fished here on Lay Lake and still am. I always dreamed about making it to what they call the big stage and, the elite series. And I never gave up, and I gave it 110% every day, practice or no practice, fun practice. It didn't matter. I was there. It's all about the next bite and how I can make myself a better angler. And yeah, man, if you want it bad enough, you can become, the next elite series champion or the next Bassmaster qualifier, just like me and Justin. So if you want it, you can get it.
You just got to go for it and work hard, right?
You got to.
Time on the water.
And I would guess you really need to become proficient with a bait caster.
It helps.
I have learned that. I matter of fact, I at the Aglow conference or writers conference I was at in Bemidji, I bought a 7 bait caster, and I learned to chuck that thing and chuck it well, and I have made the switch, and it's a ton of fun for me. So if there are young people out there, even old dogs can learn new tricks. I absolutely love fishing with a bait caster now. It's amazing. I love it.
Justin, what do you got to say for, tips or something to the kids or the younger generation or even the older guys wanting to make it? What's your 2 cents to these guys?
Pretty much the same thing, man. Like, I would love everything in me to be fishing alongside Will on the elites. And, in my mind, one day I want to make that happen. But you just, like he was saying, time on the water. If you want it, it's like anything else. How bad do you want it? You'll go get it. You got to stay on the water. You got to learn. Get a little support system behind you and get out there.
And you hear those young guys on stage say, dreams come true. You could do it. So, that's reaffirming. to know that you put in the work, that you can get there if you put your mind to it and make it work for you.
That is very accurate. Last year was the first classic I ever went to, and it was in Knoxville, where I think that's where it was, Tennessee. And I was sitting up there in the stands watching them boys weigh in, and I could feel it inside of me. I'm trying not to cry just watching these dudes. Like, it's real, you know. I want to be there. And when I got to live it last week, I want to be back very bad.
Awesome.
Oh, you'll be back. You'll be
That's
back.
fantastic.
You'll be back. You guys are awesome dudes. You took your time. I called you yesterday. You both jumped on. Justin, you're at work. Will, you're at home bathing kids and getting ready to go down to Florida and fish the next elites. You know, guys, if you want to shout out to any of your sponsors, give them a shout out quick. But we just truly appreciate your guys' time tonight and look forward to talking to you guys in the future.
I appreciate y'all guys having us on.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
very
I
much.
appreciate it.
Well, let me throw this up there real quick because this has been a super heartwarming thing, and I wanted to do it before you guys left so that we hadn't lost all of our audience there. But if you go to Tom Wynn Fishing and watch this 10-minute video about how Tom helped Rick get home to his sister, hoping to tell the story once all is said and done here in a few weeks. We've got Adam Rasmussen coming up next week, so we're pretty excited about that. But fellas, it's been great to have you. It was a ton of fun to watch you on the Bassmaster stage at the Classic. It's truly amazing. And Will, I'm glad to have you in Bucket E. Can't wait for Florida. So the Harris chain. So let's see what happens there. Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir.
Justin, good luck to you.
Thank y'all.
Good luck, guys. See you
Thank you.
later.
Take care. All right, we'll see you. Thank you.